Yes, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I think that this is now working.
This talk has been split into two parts. This first part deals with the conflict between Western ways of thinking, which are based on clash and conflict, versus Eastern ways of thinking, which are based on harmony and humanity.
So we will start by asking what is life harmony? So this is very simple. It is living harmoniously within our community, state, family, humanity, as well as with the creations, the animals, the flowers, the plants, and the geological planet Earth. So why is this important? Uh, well, today there's lots of reasons to think that we don't have life harmony. Today, the war budget around the world is around $20 trillion, and only about $5 trillion are needed to provide food, clothing, housing, education, health for all of the poor on the planet. So just a little bit of peace can make everybody very happy on the planet. So we need to work for peace. So what is the current situation? We have more than 1 billion people with less than $2 a day. So their lives are filled with social insecurity, and there is almost continuous wars around the planet. We can say that about 50,000 people per year die because warfare is continuing for 1 century. In the two world wars, about 70 million people were killed. So these were the bloodiest centuries in the history of the planet. So when we think about life harmony, then things are very bad, almost the worst possible. It's not just people that we are warring against. We are warring against the biology of the planet, against the animals, against the plants, and against the ocean, against the air. The whole planet is in deep climate catastrophe, and it is very possible that the planet will become uninhabitable by human beings if this continues like this. So then the question is, how can we improve life harmony? So there are, Allah Ta'ala says, وَحَدَيْنَهُمْ نَجْدَيْنِ. So there are two highways that we have shown him. And so the Eastern highway, which is represented by our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, rahmatul lil alameen, and he says that all of the creation is the family of God, and Allah Ta'ala loves best those who are kindest to his family. So this Eastern highway is built around cooperation, generosity, service. And then there is the other highway, the Western highway, which is built around colonization of the globe, continuous wars, racism, white man is superior, mass murders, genocide of all other races, killing millions in Afghanistan and in Iraq and in Syria and in Libya, all over the world. Anyone who doesn't agree, they are killed. And all is fair for power, for profits, for pleasure. This is the ethics of the Western highway. So how can we achieve life harmony? The Quran is the best guide to the Eastern highway. And what is the message of the Quran? The final message of Allah Ta'ala to mankind, which was written in the book and was demonstrated by the life of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it says that اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. So atmam, tamam, and akmal, kamil. So this means that the Quran is complete and perfect guidance for all mankind until the day of judgment. And this message transformed the ignorant and backwards Bedouin into world leaders, and it created a civilization which enlightened the world for more than 1,000 years. So this was a very powerful message. So now the problem is that today the Muslims are backwards and ignorant, almost like the period of the Jahiliyyah. So the question is, the most important question, does this message have the same power today? Can it again transform Muslims into the leaders of the world? Can it guide us to provide life harmony to the entire humanity? So just to get an idea, I want to see answers, yes or no. So you can type in your chat box, yes, it has the same power, or no, does not have this power today. So just to see a few answers, what do you think? Is this message enough for us? Is it complete? Is it perfect? Well, I don't see answers. I don't know if people are understanding or... Can you follow my English? All right. Well, we can say that as a Muslim, we are required to believe that the message is complete and perfect, so it should have this power. But so our faith tells us that the Quran will contain guidance for today. But is this what we are doing? When we look at all the children in the Ummah, what are they doing? They are choosing the Western highway. They are they are getting education in science, technology, in engineering, in medicine. So why there is this problem? On the one hand, we say that the Quran contains complete and perfect guidance, but on the other hand, we say that no, in order to progress, we need the Western knowledge. So look at the title of this conference. So it's Strengthening Life Harmony Through Science, Technology, Engineering, Economics, Literacy, Education, and Religion. So does religion come last? Is the Quran the last thing to look at in finding the way for the solution for the problems of today? That is the problem that we wish to discuss. So all over the world, Muslim parents choose Western education for their children because this is the path to success. So what does the Western education teach us? The basic underlying message of Western education is the following. There are 3 points. The whole world was in darkness until the sun of reason rose in Europe in the 16th century. So basically, all knowledge begins with Europe. Once Europeans understood reasoning and science, then they made tremendous progress in all fields of knowledge. They created physics and astronomy and biology and chemistry and mathematics and medicine and engineering and social sciences. They taught us governance and administration and all politics and economics. So today, all valuable knowledge is the creation of the Europeans. So this message is in dramatic conflict with the message of the Quran. The Quran says that the most important, complete and perfect knowledge was given by God to man in 14 centuries ago. But the Western knowledge says that no, all knowledge, all important knowledge came into existence by the efforts of the Europeans and from the 16th century onwards. So there is a big contradiction. So today we have a conflict between our heart. Our heart says that Islam provides complete and perfect guidance until the end of time, and it provides solutions to all current problems of humanity. But our head tells us that no, this is not enough. Today we need science, technology, skills, good governance, democracy. All of this knowledge was invented by the West, and it is not mentioned in the Quran and the Hadith. So there is a big problem. What the heart says is the opposite of what the head says. So how can we resolve this conflict? The first step is to arrive at self-understanding. Who am I? What is a human being? So now the Western education is designed to produce human resources. But the Islamic education teaches us how to become human beings. And what is a human being? It is the best of the creations and not the worst of the creations. So Allah Ta'ala says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. So inside every human being, it has the possibility to be higher than the angels, and also the possibility to be the worst of the creations. So the problem for us is to understand who we are and how we can become the best of the creations. This is the main problem from the Islamic point of view. From the Western point of view, the main problem is how to make the maximum amount of money. So the reason for this conflict is the problem which I call the modern Mu'tazila. Today, we Muslims value Western knowledge above the Quran and the Hadith. We think that the knowledge of chemistry and biology and physics and mathematics and democracy and Western political science and Western economics, these are the solution to our problems and not the Quran and the Hadith. So this problem is similar to ancient Mu'tazila. What was the ancient Mu'tazila? The ancient Mu'tazila valued the Quran, valued the Greek philosophy as being equal to the Quran, and they said that logic is on par with Wahi as an instrument for getting at the truth. But by logic they meant Greek philosophy, and nearly everything that was believed by Greek philosophers, all of it has been proven wrong. So fortunately Allah Ta'ala protected the deen and rejected the Mu'tazila demand to make Greek philosophy equal to the Quran. Today the modern Mu'tazila are making the demand that the Western knowledge is equal to the Quran or even better than the Quran. So this is the root cause for the problem that we have today. So how can we resolve this conflict? We have to understand which kind of knowledge. The Quran and the Hadith teach us one type of knowledge, and this is the knowledge of the purpose of life. Who am I? And the knowledge of excellence and conduct. How can I become the best of the creation? Western knowledge doesn't teach us anything about this. It doesn't tell us what is the purpose of our life. It doesn't tell us how we can behave in a good way. It teaches us how to build atom bombs, how to kill millions, how to make power, how to make profits, and how to have pleasure. So this is the knowledge of the Fir'aun, and the Quran is teaching us the knowledge of Musa alayhi salam. So the question is, which knowledge is superior? Is Fir'aun superior to Musa alayhi salam? This is the question which faces us today. So the question that we start by asking is, can we use the knowledge of Quran and Hadith to change the state of the Muslims from backwardness and ignorance to create a revolution, to become leaders of the world? And so Imam Ghazali did this, rahmatullah alayh, when he was faced with the problem of the Mu'tazila. And there are 3 steps to the Ghazali project. The first step is Al-Munqidh min al-Dalal, deliverance from doubt. The second step is Tahafat al-Falasifa. And the third step is Ahya Ulumuddin. So what we need to do is to replicate these steps for today. So there are people, there's a group of people led by Lisa Listiana, and they have launched the Ghazali project in Indonesia, and all of this material is available in Indonesian language, Bahasa, and it is available from this website, theghazaliproject.com. So what is the Ghazali project? Well, basically the idea is that the final message of God to mankind, which is written in the Quran and demonstrated by our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is complete and perfect. It led Muslims to world leadership 1440 years ago, and today the Muslims are again backwards and ignorant, and the message has the same power today to transform the Islamic civilization to become world leaders. So how can we launch this? How can we use the teachings of the Quran to launch a revolution? The English version of this project is also linked, and the link is provided here. So I'm now going to go in the next lecture to describe how we can launch this revolution, which will create harmony in our lives and in our community and in the humanity and with the animals and the plants and the whole planet Earth. So the first step that Imam al-Ghazali took was to ask, how can we find out the truth? There are so many different groups. All of them say that I have the truth, I have the truth. So how we can find out what is true and what is false? How can we arrive at certainty? How can we arrive at Iman? How can we arrive at faith? So this methodology, which says we start with doubt and may arrive to certainty, this was copied by René Descartes, who was also known as the father of Western philosophy. We will discuss this later. So the fundamental questions that we face as human beings are these 5 questions. Who created the universe? What is the purpose of our creation? Why were we created? How should we live our lives? So should I be good? Should I be bad? Should I be kind to people, or should I be cruel to them? And what does a good society look like? How can we build a community, a society, a nation? How can we achieve peace and harmony? And is this current state that we have, that every day there is some new war going on, millions of people are dying, is this a good state? And then, of course, what happens after we die? Does it all end? Or do we have an afterlife? Is there a judgment? Is there heaven and is there hell? So the question is that the East has different answers and the West has different answers. So from Islam we learned that Allah Ta'ala created the universe, but the West teaches that there was nobody who created it. It is automatically. Then what is the purpose of our creation? Our purpose is to be Abdullah, to serve Allah Ta'ala. But the West teaches us that there is no meaning, no purpose. We just do whatever we want to do. How should we live our lives? Allah Ta'ala has given us very clear rules. This is what you should do, this is what you should not do. You should tell the truth, you should not lie, you should not kill, you should not deceive people. You should be kind, you should be generous, and many other rules. But what about the West? They say that there are no rules. You should, since life will finish after death, you should just maximize your pleasure, and you should not care about other people. So there is a difference in what will happen after we die. In Islamic view, we have life after death, and we will be judged. If we do good, we will be rewarded. If we do bad, then we will be punished. But in the Western theory, there nothing will happen. We will turn into dust. So you can do as much evil as you like. It makes no difference. Whether you do evil or whether you do good, it's all the same. We will become dust. So there is no point in doing good. So you should only be selfish. So with this selfish idea, you cannot achieve peace and harmony, because you don't want peace and harmony. You want to if you have power, you want to use it against the others, you want to exploit others in order to achieve power, and so everybody is fighting each other all the time. So you can't achieve peace and harmony. So there are these two different sets of answers. There's the Western answer, the Western highway and the Eastern highway, and they are very, very big differences. So how can we know what is the truth, which is the right answer? Well, basically our heart tells us what the truth is, because Allah Ta'ala imprinted the truth on the hearts. This is what it means that Islam is Deenul Fitrah. So the Western knowledge gambit says that, it says that, there is no creator, there is no purpose, there is no life after death, so don't ask these questions. So it says just forget about these most important questions and change the question that what is the law of gravity? What is the composition of the water molecule? How do trees grow? So these are the questions that they teach us. But these questions have nothing to do with what is the meaning of life? What is the purpose of life? What will happen after death? So the most important questions are not being answered. So what about human beings? The social sciences of the West provide us with scientific answers, and they say that what human beings are supposed to do is to produce wealth. So what we want to do is to convert human beings into human resources. They should become parts of a machine for the production of wealth. So the Western education produces human resources. The Eastern education creates human beings, the best of the creations of God. So these are the very different ideas for Western education and for Islamic education. So the question is, which would you rather be? Do you want to become a human resource? You can be very skillful human resource. You can have genetic engineering, you can create deadly viruses, or you can use artificial intelligence to create deadly weapons of war, and then you will be paid millions of dollars for this skill. So that's a good human resource. Or would you rather become a human being? A human being has a heart which is full of love and compassion for entire mankind. So it won't want to create a deadly virus, and it don't want to create atom bomb. So so the question is, do you want to become a resource? Then you should take a Western education, and Western knowledge is very useful for this. But if you want to become a human being, then Western knowledge is completely useless. It will teach you nothing about what is good behavior, how you can become a better person, how you can realize the purpose of life. So all of the important questions, Western knowledge gives us no answer to. So we have in the hadith the description of the Dajjal. He has only one eye. The eye which sees the external world is extremely sharp. The other eye, meant for looking at our internal world, the spirit, the soul, and the heart, this is blind. So if there is an example of Abu Jahl. Abu Jahl was known as Abul Hakam to his friends, the father of wisdom. He was supposed to be very bright about this worldly matter, but he was blind about the other world. And the Quran says, when it is said to them, believe as the people believe, they say, we should believe like the fools. No, but they are fools. So the people of the West think they are very smart because they have a lot of knowledge about the external world. But they have no knowledge about their own selves. They don't know what the purpose of life is. They don't know what will happen after death. So they are doing very foolish things, but they do not know it. So this is a compromise position which is very common in the Ummah. And most people believe this, that Islam teaches us how to achieve success of the Akhirah. But West teaches us how to achieve success in this dunya, and we need both. We need to be successful in this dunya and also success in the Akhirah. That's why we need both Western knowledge and Islamic knowledge. So most people believe this thing. But this position is not correct, because the message is complete and perfect. Islam took ignorant and backwards Bedouin from the bottom to the top, and it created a civilization which spread light to the whole world for the 1,000 years. It created both the success of this world and of the Akhirah. So has the message lost its power? Will acquiring Western knowledge leads us to worldly success, which is what most people believe? That's why we are training our children in Western knowledge. Before we answer this question, we must define what is worldly success. So there is a very great difference between what Allah Ta'ala calls success and what the West calls success. For the Islamic model of success, our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the best pattern, and the model of success is excellence in conduct, how we can behave like him, how we can learn to be like him. So if you remember that he lived very simply, and he did not have a luxurious life, and he was rahmatul lil alameen. So these are some of the, and he was compassionate towards every human being, and he had felt pain in his heart to convey the message to all human beings, whether they were believers or not. But the Western model of worldly success is to conquer the world. All is fair in pursuit of power, profits, and pleasure. There is no ethics. Machiavelli said that the study of war is the only goal for rulers. Samuel Huntington says that era of war between nations is over, so now the time has come for war of civilizations. So the idea is that it's impossible for two civilizations to live in peace, to trade, to exchange ideas, because the idea of war is built into the West. You must either conquer others or be conquered. You must always be at war. So this concept is very different from the Eastern concept, where we want to be at peace with everybody. It was possible for China to conquer many kingdoms, but they did not want to do so. And similarly, the Islamic civilization was not interested in conquest. Islam spread by trade and by many peaceful means. There is no compulsion in religion. So what has been told to us, what we have learned from the Eurocentric history, is that the West has done a tremendous job. They have risen to the top of the world, but we have not learned how they rose to the top. And basically they rose to the top by destroying all competition. In the Americas, there were 4 major civilizations: the Olmecs, the Maya, the Inca, the Aztecs. In Africa, there were many kingdoms: Egyptian, Carthage, Axum, Numidia, Nubia, Ashanti, Congo, Mali, Zimbabwe, Songhai, Ghana, and Benin, Somalia. In Asia, the major civilizations were Persian, Indian, Chinese, and Japanese, and there were many other minor. But all of these were destroyed, erased, and forgotten in the process of global conquest and calculation. So basically, by killing all others, they became world leaders. So this is the barbarian model of success. This is very different from the Islamic model of success. So today, the greatest threat to mankind is the Western success. According to the West, man is just another kind of animal. We have no morals or ethics. This world is a savage competition for the survival of the fittest. And the laws of the jungle apply. If you have the strength to destroy a whole country, then you can do so. Because the power gives the right. The might makes right. And scientists understand that today the biggest threat to mankind comes from science and technology. Artificial viruses, weapons of warfare, climate change, pollution of the oceans, pollution of the air, destruction of the forests. All of these things are threatening to completely make the planet impossible to live for human beings. So, this is the diagnosis. Now, coming towards the solution, basically, when the West conquered the world and it destroyed all other civilizations, and they conquered about 90% of the globe, and something like that of the Islamic civilization. And so the key thing to understand is that conquest and colonization is actually colonization of the minds. And so this is what we need to understand, that because we have been colonized, our minds have been colonized. And so we need to free our minds from the chains of colonization. And how can that be done? We have been educated to believe in the superiority of the West. The modern Mu'tazila believe that the Western knowledge is superior to Islamic knowledge. So in order to understand the message of the Quran and to apply it to achieve success, we need the decolonization of the minds. And this is the first step before we can understand the message of the Quran. We have to unwrap our minds from the colonization. So how is colonization done? The central tool of this colonization is the Western education. And in this Western education, we are taught Eurocentric history. We are taught a false history which has been made up to show that the Europeans are superior. And basically this lesson of Eurocentric history is that until the 16th century, all of mankind was backwards and ignorant. Then in the 16th century, the sun of reason arose in Europe, and since then, Europe made rapid progress in all fields of human knowledge and activity. And today, everything useful we know was created by the Europeans. So this is the false narrative that is taught to us by Western education. We all learn this when we are trained in West, because everything that we learn is a creation of the Western civilization. All of the subjects that we learn, whether it's chemistry, whether it's biology, whether it's physics, teaches us about the superiority of the West. There are no lessons in the Quran and the Hadith and how these can be used to solve modern problems in the university. Not a single course like that. So we have to attack this narrative, the Eurocentric history, if we want to decolonize the minds. And that is the first step. So the key point of Eurocentric history is the theft of history, which is a name of a book by Jack Goody. And it explains how Western civilization took credit for inventions of all other civilizations. So the Mayan civilization were master biologists, and they took poisonous plants and bred from these tomatoes, uh, which comes from nightshade, which is a poisonous plant, and also maize or corn. This was also created by them from a poisonous plant. And so these flavor and feed the world today, but nobody knows that these are Mayan inventions. Similarly, the Chinese invented paper and printing press and gunpowder and compass and clocks and bronze, but nobody knows that the Chinese did anything. Similarly, the Islamic civilization has so many inventions, it's not possible to list it in science, in medicine, in philosophy, in chemistry, in geophysics. The Indian civilization was very good at mathematics, and they invented the calculus and the arts of navigations, and the Western civilization borrowed from many civilizations, and they took credit for everything. So for example, Copernicus's book is just a simple copy of Al-Shatir, but he is known as the revolution, the Copernican revolution, and nobody knows the name of Al-Shatir. Similarly, Descartes is called the father of Western philosophy, and nobody knows that he just copied from Ibn al-Haytham and al-Ghazali. So this is the theft of history, taking credit for things that you did not do. So now the European history says that suddenly, from nowhere, the Europeans suddenly became very intelligent. So they never tell us how did the dark ages of Europe end. So the answer is very simple. If you look at history, in the reconquest of Spain, Europeans got to the libraries of Al-Andalus, which had millions of books, and the Europeans started to translate these books in the 12th century, and that is when the start of the end of dark ages, when the new knowledge started coming in. So basically we can say that it was the light of Islam that spread knowledge all over the world, including Europe.